Good morning. Good morning. Hi, my name is Tracy Justice, and welcome to the Bold Life livecast, the Test Drive series. How are you doing today? I'm just so excited to be here, and at the same time, I still get those jitters. But you know what? I love it because it just shows me that I'm alive, and that means I'm doing things. I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. I'm practicing new thoughts. So this is awesome. So we're going to talk about the Test Drive series, right? Like, why did I start this? Let's talk about community. Now, the Bold Life livecast is about building a community of leaders, from aspiring to established, who are ready to live the bold life in their personal lives, your career, your businesses, your communities that you serve in, and be impactful in such a meaningful way, right? For an opportunity for us to come together and to really talk about, like, okay, how do we position ourselves to be bold, in all of our endeavors? See, but the thing about working with me is that it's not only about finding success with your life or career goals, right? So it's not only about that end goal, because the end goal, I believe, will work itself out. But what it's about, let me see. I want to make sure that my mic is on. Let me make sure, because I don't think I see the green thing, even though the green thing came on earlier. Let's see real quick. Okay, it's on. Okay, good. I just wanted to check that real quick. But so the Bold Life isn't only about your end goals, right? It's not only about those tangible things that that you receive at the end. It's not about, I have some comments. Let's see. Can you hear me? Hey, Karen. I love when I have, people come join me, because it's great, because that's what it's about, community. Thank you, Karen. Hello to you too. So the Bold Life is not about just finding goals, or, it's not about just your end goals. It's about who you're becoming in the process of it, right? So it's not about, that strategic plan. Yes, we can work together to set a strategic plan. Yes, we can work together to set your goals, to achieve those goals. But ultimately, it's about who you're becoming now, like who you are now and who you're becoming in the process. Right? Because when we're working towards goals, when we're working towards our dreams, especially when it takes a bold move, especially if you need a bold move for you to get going towards the dreams or the desires that you have for yourself, it's not easy. It is not easy. It is a journey of self-exploration, going up, going down. But if you're able to know, if you're able to strengthen that inner wisdom, that inner strength, that supports you on your goal. So, and that's what this community is about. It's about building that for each other. I also believe that the Bold Life is an abundant life, right? We're talking about what this community is about. The Bold Life is the abundant life. That means I believe that life is supposed to be fun, right? It's not supposed to be dry and boring and so serious. It's supposed to be fun, full, abundant, exciting. And that's what happens when we allow ourselves to gain new experiences. Right? Because when we gain new experiences, we learn something new that we didn't know before about ourselves. But we have to be able to put ourselves in those positions where we can gain new experiences, where we can discover our own confidence, right? Like where we can try something new and learn something new and be able to leverage that new data to our success, right? And that's what this Bold Move Challenge is about. It's about being able to choose boldness over fear. Yes, I know it's a little scary right now, right? When you really think about what you're trying to accomplish in the future, or your goals, when you're thinking about that big desire that you have in your heart, it's a little bit overwhelming, especially if it's something where you have to be vulnerable. You have to put yourself out. You have to position yourself in front of people for other people to critique and say this and say that about you. That can be frustrating. I know what that feels like, but it's about choosing boldness over fear. So how are you going to do it? Are you going to let your dreams pass you by? Or are you going to find a way to get on and stay focused and build that strength to be able to go towards your dreams? You got to be bold enough to challenge your current story and write a new one, right? Because that's what we're all under. We're all under some particular story that we've been telling ourselves for a while. How do we get over that? Now, I also believe that the groundwork to living the bold life is rooted in love, clarity, and confidence. So what does that mean? I use a values-driven approach. Love, clarity, and confidence. So when that heavy weight of negative chatter comes to, take over your mind, right? Like you're trying something new, you're being bold, you're a little nervous, and then that negative chatter comes up. How are you going to be able to overcome that, right? Like how, especially when those negative self-talks doubt your capabilities and it tries to keep you stuck. And why does that happen? Because we're not practicing something new, because we haven't taken a bold step, a bold chance on ourselves and moved forward to learn something new. You've got to practice new habits so that your mind can practice new thoughts. But until you step out and try something new, and that's what this Bold Move Challenge is. How do we find like-minded people to come together where we can just get to know each other and talk about our challenges, or talk about our obstacles, or talk about some of the things that we want to do in life, and talk about it through the bold life lens, through love, clarity, and confidence, through energetic awareness. And that's what this channel is about. And also, I love to talk about quite a few things. So I like to talk about topics on advocacy, DEIBJ, which is what we're going to talk about today, self-awareness, energetic awareness, leadership development, relationships. How do we interact with each other, right? Because relationships are not just only the intimate ones, but how do we interact with other people, our peers, our colleagues, our coworkers, HR related topics, networking. Oh my gosh, networking. We can definitely talk about that, because that has been something that I've been doing quite a bit of lately. And, even becoming bold enough to even put yourself out there and introduce yourself to other professionals. Networking, we can talk about that here, volunteering, assessments, and etc. So join me here live every Wednesday for 30 minutes. And we get to talk about these different topics. And if you have something specific that you want to talk about against the lens of the bold life, against the Be Bold mindset philosophy, but don't want to necessarily share your name, you can definitely submit a topic request or something that you want to talk about. And it's anonymous form. I'm not asking for your name or anything. And so if you want to go that route, we can definitely do that to introduce topics to talk about. And so the quote I'll leave with you regarding this particular segment is, the bold life belongs to everyone, right? It really does, but only a few will be bold enough to live it. Isn't that crazy when you think about that? Only a few people will be bold enough to be able to live that life, to be able to say, you know what? It's in my heart. It's a desire that I have for myself. So I'm going to move forward. The Bold Move Challenge. So I started this in August. That's the reason why I started this, is because I am somebody who I feel like I can procrastinate, because I will try to perfect something to a T. I've been wanting to do this ever since of October of 2021. And I kept, writing scripts and or I would create videos, but I kept editing it. And it just turned into a messy process. And I realized that what I had to do is that I had to just step out and just take a bold move, right? Because it was up to me. I was sitting here just hoping that, maybe somebody will be like, oh, Tracy, I heard you do this, you do that. It was like, no, that person has to be me. I have to believe in myself. Because here's the thing. It's great when other people believe in you. I think it's an awesome thing. I think it's an awesome thing when people believe in you. I mean, I love it. I love to know that I have people that support me and people that are in my circle that are rooting for me, because I'm rooting for you too. Right. But at the same time, if you decide that you stop believing in me, so where does my strength go? Where does my confidence go? Does it go right out the door with the person that walked out? You have to believe in yourself. It begins with you. You have to take a bold move on yourself and go for your dreams. Because if you're waiting for somebody else to say, I think you got a shot, sometimes it may not come. What are you going to do? Right? It's about that Bold Move Challenge. So I am going to get off of the Bold Move Challenge for now. But, if you want to learn more about the Bold Move Challenge, definitely, really come to my website, because I'm just trying to think, like, do I have somewhere else? No, I don't really. So it's really all on my social media. If you want to learn more about the Bold Move Challenge, you want to learn more about how I work, what my philosophy is, how do I use energetic awareness, to help facilitate, boldness in what you're trying to do, definitely visit me at my website, book a complimentary 45-minute session, and we'll talk. Okay, so now let's go into what we're talking about today. DEIBJ journal. So why did I come up with this DEIBJ journal, which is diversity, equity. Ooh, let me put the banner up, because what I've realized, which is very shocking to me, that not a lot of people know what DEI means. And no judgment at all. But I just find it very interesting. And so because I want to be mindful for people that may not know, DEIBJ is diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, and justice. Okay, so now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about the acronyms. Now, what are the acronyms? You might see so many different acronyms from DEI, which is, leading with diversity, and then, ensuring that there's equitable processes in place for the diverse people that you're bringing in. And you also want to ensure that you're including them in the process, right? So, and then I'm going to go into each of these terms as we go through the prompts. But I just wanted to show you all the different acronyms. There's DNI, EDI, IDE, DEIB, and then DEIBJ. And then the latest one, that people are, because it's JEDI. So it's JEDI when we're talking about DEI work. So let's go into each of them. So what do I believe when it comes to DEIBJ? What is the Be Bold mindset philosophy in that? I believe that if you lead with love, diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, justice, awareness becomes a natural part of your leadership. It's not something that's segregated. It's not something that's compartmentalized and it's its own thing. It's a part of everything that you do. It's a part of how you operate. You're all about diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, and justice. And as we go through the terms, you'll see what I'm trying to say here. But that's what I believe. If you lead with love, it'll encompass it all. Okay, so tip 1, consider these terms in relation to yourself first, right? So sometimes when we think about these terms, you want to think about what other people are doing, or you want to think of somebody else that you think that might need some of this, this work. But think about it in terms of yourself first. So increase your own self-awareness when it comes to these terms, right? And then tip number 2, it takes a lot of courage to increase your own awareness around this topic. Give yourself grace and journal your thoughts. Because here's what's going to happen. You're going to interact with somebody and somebody might say something to you and say, hey, why did you say that to me? That was offensive. And after you get that information, you might beat yourself up. You might be mad at yourself, or you might say, wow, I didn't know that I think like that, or I talk like that, or I act like that. And before you know it, you'll beat yourself up before you're able to even do the work that's needed. So it's about giving yourself grace. Journal your thoughts. That's what this journal is for, right? Journal your thoughts. Journal how you feel about these different terms. And then pick the terms that you want to work with. Maybe the ones that you feel like you resonate with and you feel like you need a little bit more work with. Choose that particular topic, and you'll see what I mean as we get to that. So tip number 3, get your free e-journal. The link is in the description. I created one for you. So let me just show you real quick, just so you have an idea of what it looks like. And what's cool about it is that it's an e-journal. So if you're somebody that maybe you don't like, you can definitely print it out and handwrite on this journal. But if you're somebody that likes to, just maybe type, you get on your laptop or you get on your phone, or if you get on your iPad or something like that. Here's the e-journal. Let's see. Okay. And so if you download your, if you go to the link, you can get your free e-journal. And you could even use this. You can watch this video again and use it in conjunction, and then maybe continue your own awareness journey. But I think it's a great way to kind of build up your own biases. Because when we're talking about inclusive leadership does not mean that people have to tell you as a leader what you're doing wrong all the time. Yes, feedback is great. You should be aware of your blind spots, but as a leader, you should be willing to do the self-work that's needed if you're going to be a leader, especially of diverse groups, right? Especially that we know that, the workforce has changed, the population is changing, we're becoming more integrated, there are more, so many different cultures, so many diverse ways of doing things. I mean, it's just to be an inclusive leader and ensure that you're doing the work that is needed. You've got to be able to do the work yourself. And this e-journal is a great way to get that going for yourself. Okay, so we're going to get right into it. So diversity. And like I said earlier, there's a lot of people that, that I've talked to about, DEI, BJ, and they would say, what is DEI? Now the BJ I get, but the what is DEI I thought was shocking. So, and then sometimes when you go to the internet, it's a little confusing when you try to, because there's so much information. So I simplified it. And when I say simplified it, I mean, I completely simplified it here. This is just enough to get you going, to get you on your own way to do your own study, right? Because it's all about self-awareness. All right, so the definition of diversity I put here is differences within the total human experience. There are so many differences that we may all, different groups that we might identify with, right? Different groups that we might identify with within the dimensions of the total human experience. And so how do we celebrate, right? How do we celebrate? How do we acknowledge differences? And then how do we celebrate differences? How do we celebrate diverse thoughts, right? When you think about innovation, like McKinsey and Quarterly, I think he said like 75% of diverse groups, 75% of the diverse groups are more profitable than organizations that don't have diverse leadership. And why? When you think about that, what makes diverse leadership or a diverse group so beneficial? Because there's so many different, so many different perspectives, right? If you're thinking about, if you have a business and you're trying to expand into different markets, your organization has to represent the markets that you're trying to serve in. How do you do that? How do you embrace diversity? Well, when you're thinking about a journal prompt, are you aware of your own biases? Are you able to bring in diverse people into your circle? Or if you're somebody that says, well, I don't have any biases, because we all have biases, but a quick way to help you see if you have any biases is how diverse is your circle of influence? How diverse is your circle of influence? Are you aware of your own biases? And if you are aware of your own biases, you can write about that. If you're not aware, maybe even write about that and write how you feel about that. Because here's the thing with journaling, it's not about judging what you're writing. It's about writing it's about getting your thoughts out of your head and putting down on paper. Because at some point you're going to want to look back at that and you'll be able to see how much you've grown from one stage or throughout however period that you're, watching your growth. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next one. Equity. What is equity? Equity is ensuring success for all by meeting people where they're at. So I'm pretty sure if you're accustomed to equity, there's this picture where it shows there's three people trying to watch a game over a fence. When they talk about equality, they show that that there's boxes, that there's the same box under each of those people. Now, one of them are short, one of them are in a wheelchair, one of the persons are tall. And they're all given the same size box to step on, to look over the fence to watch the game. That's equality, giving everybody the same size box, right? But when you're talking about equity, you're ensuring that maybe the shortest person gets the tallest box because they need a little bit more access to be able to be successful, to be able to see over that fence equally like everybody else. So it's about meeting people where they at, giving people the opportunities that they need, the access that they need to be as successful as everyone else, right? Okay, so how do you, for your journal prompt, how do you display equity in your leadership? A question for you to think about when you're journaling. And if that's still maybe a little difficult for you to answer for yourself, maybe define equity for yourself. What does equity mean to you after you've read what equity means? Like after you've done some research and you've read, what does equity mean? Define it for yourself. What does it mean to you now? Right? That's a great way to really look at equity in your journaling. The next one is inclusion. Diversity being included at the decision-making table. That means you're not making decisions for me. Well, let me say it like this. You're including the people that you're wanting to impact. You're including them at the decision table as well. So that means that we're not going into a separate room in the back. If we have group A, B, and C that, that we're impacting, we're not going to just invite A and B to the group and leave C out, right? Inclusion is including group C as well. Group C needs to be a part of the decision-making process if the decisions are going to impact them as well, or at least representation of that group. Okay, so journal prompt. How do you measure your own inclusiveness? Are you inclusive? When you think about your leadership and you're interacting with people, are you inclusive? And see, here's the thing about inclusiveness is that it doesn't matter what race you are right now. Like me as a black woman, am I inclusive when I interact with people? So am I inclusive when I interact with white men, with white women, with the LGBTQ community? Somebody with a different socioeconomic background than myself. This is not just like black, white, woman, man. This is you as an individual. Are you inclusive, right? Because we all have biases. How do you measure your own inclusiveness? Right? Maybe that might be a blind spot question. Maybe it might be asking, maybe this one might really involve asking people, right? Because how would people know? Like it's really about how people perceive you. Do they feel like you include them when they're in your presence? Right? So that is that's how we're going to look at inclusion. Okay, so the next one, belonging. Belonging is ensuring that all involved feels welcomed. Right? So not only do you hire diverse people in and you include them, but how do you make them feel like they belong? Right? Because it's one thing just to always invite them to the meetings. But if you invite other people to like maybe after work functions, are you excluding other people? Because if you're excluding people from the outing, but you're letting everyone know within the organization, but you're not necessarily inviting, particular people. So they hear by rumors that, hey, we're all going out after work, that's a sense of belonging as well. So maybe you include them in the professional, but you make them feel like, they can't be a part of your personal life as well, if that's something that you do. So how does your leadership style create a space of belonging? How do you create a space of belonging where people are in your presence and they feel welcome, they feel heard, they feel like they're part of the crew, not just doing something transactional, but a part of the group? Okay, so the next one is justice. Now, justice takes equity to the next level, right? So, and that's ensuring fairness for all. This would even include some level of advocacy, right? So justice would look like maybe you have a platform and you're using your platform to bring awareness to what's going on. Or maybe you're writing letters, sending emails, calling your elected officials. Maybe you see that there's something going on. A policy going on that you don't agree with and you feel like it needs to change to ensure that everybody has equal access to whatever it is. Or it could even take the form within your organization. You notice that, after talking to a few people, maybe you notice that some people aren't getting paid right, or some people are getting paid, just for various different reasons, and there isn't any rhyme or reason to the pay logic, and there needs to be some justice. So what does justice look like for you? And what ways does justice show up in your leadership style, right? We're talking about a DEI-BJ journal, which is diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, and justice journal, right? How do you increase your own self-awareness? And journaling is a great way, right? Journaling doesn't involve another person. Journaling can only involve you. Now, journaling is great prep work when you're wanting to work with a coach. And see, so when we're looking at DEI-BJ, when we're looking at diversity, equity, inclusion work, in terms of, when it comes to coaching, what does that look like? Well, it looks like first, there is going to be an assessment, and it's not going to be a diversity, equity, inclusion assessment, but there will be an assessment where you can look at how you show up energetically first, right? Because first, you got to know yourself. How do you show up energetically? In what areas in your life are you expending a lot of energy? not expending enough. And then when we look at your in terms of the diversity equity work, we're going to look at, your leadership style, and then we're going to look at your tasks, your projects, the things that you're trying to do, and audit that against the backdrop of this work. What does it mean if you were to incorporate DEI/BJ into your work, or it as a part of your leadership goals? And journaling is a great way to really prep you before you meet with a coach, because sometimes when you meet with a coach, you might not know necessarily what it is that you want to say, and that's okay. You don't have to have everything figured out when you're having a conversation with a coach. And that's what the coach is there to do, is to help you, right? Like, I would be there to help you find what it is that you drill down to what it is that you want to talk about, the goals that you have. But in terms of this work, sometimes, like I mentioned earlier, sometimes this work can be a little, it can be surprising when you uncover your own biases and to see that what some of the things that you believe or subscribe to. But the thing with coaching is that you're not judged. You're not judged. There's a safe space where you have the space where you can talk about the things that you need to talk about in a safe space without any judgment. Because it seems like these days people are afraid to talk about this work. They're afraid that if they say something, they're going to get canceled. And then sometimes, even as a woman of color, I had to, really work with myself in this work, because I had to realize that sometimes how I feel, I think, for example, if I think a white man is looking at me like I'm dumb, I'm just being honest here. If I feel like a white man is looking at me as if like I'm a dumb Black woman, sometimes I realize that I have to go inside and do some internal work and say, okay, for some reason, I feel like I'm a dumb Black woman, because at the end of the day, it's something in me that's attracting those situations or those people. So what's in it? What's in me, or what am I feeling in me? What story am I telling myself inside that's attracting the situation, that's causing me to feel this way, that's causing me to think this way? I believe the reason why I feel passionate about this work to a deeper level is that the thing with diversity is that sometimes we're worried about other people accepting us, but sometimes we just don't accept ourselves because how different we feel like we are to other people. We feel like we're so different. We're so, like, our situation is just so unique to anybody else's. Nobody will ever understand. But the thing about diversity, it makes you feel like you're set apart and you're by yourself, but you're not, because I've had to go work through that. And sometimes that stops you from making a bold move. You feel like you don't look like the people that are in that field that you're trying to get into. You feel like, I'm not going to be included. I'm not going to belong there. And this work begins with inside work, right? It's an inside job work. It begins with how you feel about yourself first. It's about who you are now. It'll always be, forever be. It's about who you are now and who you are becoming, and whatever goal that you're trying to reach. It's truly about being bold, being you, finding your inner wisdom, finding your inner strength, and allowing that to leverage you towards your goals. You've got to move. You can't let things like this stop you. Or if you're a leader that you're trying to be more inclusive, a different angle, still great work. So I'm up at the time, up at the hour of 12. I just want to say thanks for watching watching this show, this particular topic, because this one really touched me. And I hope that this was helpful. I hope that if you're trying to, if DEI/BJ is part of your leadership goal or part of your self goal for this year, that you will definitely take advantage of the free e-journal and start, jotting what this means to you. So thanks for watching. With love, clarity, and confidence, be bold and be you.